Good evening and welcome once again to your favorite show, The Law and You. It's a pleasure to be your host tonight, and also thank you very much for having us in your homes, in your tablets, in your phone, in your TVs. The Law and You runs on One Accord TV every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on Facebook, on YouTube channels, on our YouTube channel, that's One Accord TV. You are welcome so much. Thank you for your interactions, your questions on the shows that you have done, especially on this issue of land. And thank you very much for your feedback. At least tells us there's someone watching. May God bless you, even as we continue tonight. Wakili, please, karibu sana and say hi to the people.
Thank you very much for having me on the show. I'm glad to be here today.
Thank you. Asante sana, Wakili. Now, we have been doing, should I call it a series? It will sound church, eh? But okay, we have been discussing on the issue of land. And there are some few questions on what we discussed the last time. We discussed about the issues about when you searches. We discussed about the issue of land to the ministry. When you go to the Wakili, what do you expect? You shed light also on the things that we need to check out in a sale agreement for it to be at least a standard agreement. And we said, well, hii maneno ya kusema badilisha majina na figures is not right because different sale agreements require different things. So tonight there are a lot of questions that people have been asking, and I would like to maybe we go through them, and then maybe we can be able to go on to the topic of today. Let me check. Oh yes, someone asked. We talked about freehold land and leasehold land. Maybe that's something that someone wanted a clarification on. What's the difference between a freehold land and a leasehold land?
Right. Freehold land is land that is held most of the time, agricultural land, that does not expire. The ownership of that land does not expire.
Ni yako milele kwa milele na milele. Yes.
And when we compare a freehold to a leasehold is only given for a certain period of time. And in Kenya, it is 99 years.
It's 99 years.
Yes.
And by the time maybe I'm coming to buy your land, which you were given 99 years, 20 years ago, mine will be like 75 years or 79 years or 60 years.
Yes.
So the lease goes on expiring because a lease has when it starts and when it ends.
Yes.
And maybe another thing I've noticed about leases, they have rent because shamba si yako. Unaambiangwa saa ingine lipa rent ya 1,000 per year, 3,000 per year, 7,000 per year if depending on where the land is. And sometimes also they say peppercorn, which is basically you don't pay anything, but peppercorn, they say that in case we need you to pay, you will pay something, I'll tell you to pay. So I think also that's the other thing that people need to understand. And when I say about rent, people talk about rates za kanjo. I'm not talking about rates za kanjo. Rates za kanjo, that's a different thing where you pay on leases and on freehold land. But you are talking about kuna pesa inalipo kwa lands ministry, which is called land rent. Because the government has rented you the land for a specific time and for a specific purpose. That's, I think, the other thing people need to understand on the leases. Sometimes the government may say, it's giving a lease on this side for people to plant. Sometimes it's for people to build only residential houses or single dwelling or a school only that can be built there or a church or something. I think maybe that was clear on the issue of leases and freehold. Another question that was being asked is on the issue of a special control board. I think alikuwa nauliza about your land control board. Yes. So maybe before we answer that, what's land control board?
The land control board is a body instituted by one of the acts of parliament, one of the old acts of parliament, because all these laws were actually brought together, and we only have 3 laws in Kenya concerning land. But initially we had a law that required that before you purchase land in an agricultural area, there will be a board that will consist of the elders, will consist of the DO of that area. It will also consist of other representatives to actually approve any transaction, transfer of any land, and you have to appear and actually give reasons why you are selling your land and who you are selling this land to. This was meant to protect our agricultural lands. And so that is still there. It's also part of our new Land Act, whereby you have to appear before the board, and there's nothing like a special board. It is not anywhere in our laws.
Yes, it's not anywhere in our laws. And I think that's what I wanted us to come to.
Yes.
That maybe for people to understand, when you talk about land control board, tunajua nataka tuongele lugha huko nyumbani.
Yes.
Ni ukienda kuuza shamba, kuna mahali mzee alikuwa anaitwa kukaa na DO ama kwa DC then. Na DC walikuwa nakaa I think on a Thursday. Most time ilikuwanga Thursday. Unasikia tumeitwa kwa DC on a Thursday ama Tuesday kwenda ili shamba ipitishwe. Even if our father is subdividing the land to give it to his children, lazima wangeenda kwa hiyo board. Yes, and then now someone was like, and that is what, and most of the places I think they pay 500 shillings for the board to sit. But now people, you have said there's nothing as a special, and I think people are talking about special. There's something about, is there a special land control board or something?
So before we go to whatever we are calling special, a normal board sits probably once or twice a month.
A month, yes. Yeah.
Whereby you pay a certain fee. Most of the time it's 1,000 shillings, which is actually supposed to cater for the per diem of the members of that board.
Wakunywe kachai at least.
Wakunywe chai, ama wakule lunch. Yes. And so after that, those 2 times or one every month, because you have to book in advance, and your name is listed on that list.
And your name may come number 55.
It may be number 60 or number 80.
And they only sit up to number 30 per day.
Yes.
Yes, you come next month again.
Yes. And so this special board is something that came up with, it's a special agreement.
Corruption.
Basically, it's a corrupt
Let's not say
deal.
it's corruption, because people may think what is gotten there is a bad thing. Yes, we will look for a good name as we go on. But basically, there's a land control board sitting.
Yes.
But what you are saying is, the board sits once the first Tuesday or the first Thursday or Wednesday of the month. But now you have happened on the second and the third week of the month, you need a transfer.
Yes.
And you need the board to sit again.
And it is urgent.
And it is urgent.
Or you even need to actually get some money from the bank.
From the bank.
Yes.
And it's urgent. So you need the board to sit on another day that is not that first Thursday of the month, or Tuesday or Monday, whatever day they sit. And also, you don't want to wait for that list yako iko number 100.
Yes.
Ikuje ikiwa number 1. That is what people call special.
Yes.
Yes, and so, but what you are saying is special is not in the law.
It is not in the law. What is in the law is actually the normal land control board consent that you have to appear with your wife.
With your wife.
If you're selling land, show up with your wife, and then you answer some few questions from the board, and then they will give you that consent and agree that you can proceed and sell your land.
And would you be doing the rates of this special one? Of the urgent land control boards?
It depends with an area. There are places where, because the transfer is urgent and you need to get the consent as soon as, or as fast as possible, you will pay 5,000 shillings or 10,000 shillings, or even 15 or 20.
Yeah, there's some who have paid 20.
Yes.
Because you want it today. Today. Unaambiwa usijari wakili ngojea hapo. Yeah. So yes, our viewers, for the person who has this question, in the law there's no special land control board. It's a land control board that sits once or twice a month to pass, which you're supposed to pay maybe 500 shillings or 1,000. But because there are different needs, maybe there's an urgent need of money, the bank needs, you need money from the bank, you don't want to be in the list number 255, and they sit only once per month, and they sit only 30 people, so you'll be coming on the 4th month. Na labda ulisema 90 days completion, so you can be able to harakisha it. So it is there, and it's also a legal, you get, it's a normal document you get, the only difference is that yako itaharakishwa. So maybe, I think that is on freehold, unless there's something you want. And please, people need to understand also, when you're getting the land control board, please get the receipt that you used to pay for, have the application that you made, and have the consent, because watu wanaletanga consent peke yake. We have had situation whereby mtu anakuja tu kwa ofisi ya wakili, hata consent ya landlord tuko naye, haina receipt, haina kitu yote. 6 years down the line when there's an issue, that consent ya lands board is not enough. You need to have evidence of a receipt. I actually applied for it and I paid 500 or 1,000 shillings, whatever they pay, and ndio hii receipt yangu. That because land, one thing you also, because there's an issue of the, tumeuliza mambo ya title. A title is a process. Just the same way I think Maraga said, election is a process. Yeah. You don't come today and announce someone is a winner. So for you to get the final title, there's a process that comes with it. And this title, the process is from the transfer, the land consent board, the rates, rent, na hizo vitu zote. Unastahili kuonesha zote ulifanya pamoja na stamp duty and everything to be able to say, now this title is a good title. I don't know if Wakili, maybe there's something you want to mention on that?
No, on that consent and application, just be patient, follow the process, get the right documents. Don't try and cut corners. So if you need to actually, because it is given, you just attend the meeting for around 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and you have your consent. Because
there are minutes also.
Yes, there are minutes taken and captured. Yeah. So in case there is an issue with that transfer later on, you are like, those minutes will be available to support your transaction.
Okay. Now there's another question here. How about land leasing? Can I put up permanent structures? Maybe you have leased the land for 10 years, 20 years. Can you put up permanent structures?
That's depended on a few things. One of them is when you took up that land, to our viewer who is watching the show, when you took up that land, there's definitely one document that you actually signed, which is a lease agreement.
Between you and the owner of the land.
Between you and the owner of the land for that period of time. And last time, I remember you mentioned that these leases need to be registered. That you don't just sign a document and you put it in your pocket. No, for it to have some legal basis and some legal basis, you need to have it registered. And so if you take up a lease, what should be provided for in that lease is what will be the property, what will be the use of the property. Are you going to use this property for permanent structure or for semi-permanent structures? Are you going to use it for farming? So it needs to dictate that. Number two, there are areas which are actually zoned for certain kind of structures. And so if you're going to actually lease land, you need to also be aware what does a municipal or the county
say about this, what I can do or what I cannot do.
Yes, because you may actually sign a lease agreement that says that you can put up those permanent structures. Ujenge gorofa. And then you start your construction and you get into trouble.
Can you come and say hapana? Hapa tujengangi.
Yes.
Ni containers peke yake.
Containers ama ni mimea.
Ni mimea peke yake.
Yes.
Because of leases, in fact, there's something you have said about registering. Even for the owners, it's beneficial. Not just saying people may see like it's beneficial to the person leasing. Even for the owner. In fact, if you have a lease, like for example, for 10 years or 20 years, if the land is mine and the rent is like 100,000 a month, I can go to the bank and with that, I can even ask for a loan. Because I'm telling the bank, I have a registered lease here that I'll be receiving 100,000 for the next 10 years. Give me a loan, I can pay 60,000. I have money to pay. So even for the landlords and even for the person coming, this is something very important. Please have your lease registered. And for you to register a lease, it has to be more than 5 years, 5 years, 3 months, 6 years. You need to have that registered. It gives you the peace of mind. Number two, but this one will be doing it next time for churches. Most of the churches, you go there, unasema huyu mama nilimhurubia crusade, akakuja akaokoka akaniambia nijenge kanisa. What you don't know, the children are there in South Africa or US studying. They learn after 1 year umeweka structure, wanasema toa shamba. Tumekuja hapa tunataka kuweka shule. Because you don't have a registered lease, unaanza kuita watoto wenyewe, ni shetani amewaingilia. Ni nini amewaingilia? Please, can you sit down? Let's do the things the right way so that you can, even the investment that God has given you. Because for you to build a church worth maybe 10 million, that's God has given you grace and favor to be able to hold money on his behalf. It's like the talents and the person with the 5 talents and the 2 talents. Let us have them properly, and you have them properly by ensuring you register and do what is supposed to be done.
There's an advantage of a tenant who is leasing this land having it registered, by the way. The fact that long-term leases do not have an exit, a termination clause.
Yeah.
And so if you take up a lease for 20 years and the person decides to actually terminate it within 10 years, the standard requirement is that they should pay you back
whatever the difference is.
Yeah, the difference of the time left.
Yeah.
So if you as a tenant, you want to exit from that land,
you also pay the landlord.
You pay the landlord. And if the landlord wants you out of that property, you need to they need to pay you.
And in fact, the landlord, he has to pay you plus damages depending on what you are doing there.
Yes.
Because I took the lease for 100,000 per month to make money like $500,000 or $1 million per month. So you have to give me damages. In fact, the court says if you can be able to quantify what you lost or what you lose, that can be paid. So please, ladies and gentlemen, let's start registering our leases. Let's start ensuring that tuko kwa shamba ya mtu, not because of someone's mercies. And when you said about you cannot be thrown outside. Remember when you have a shop huku town, the short-term leases. Naweza kuja asubuhi nikuambie, hii mwezi ukinilipa rent, hata sitaki rent yako, toka. But when it's registered for 6 years, the landlord has to wait for 6 years.
Has to wait, yeah.
So you are not sitting there through the mercies of someone else.
You see, there's even the legitimate expectation.
Yeah.
Whereby you have put in an investment.
Yeah.
Let's say the example of the church. The church has decided to take up a piece of land for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
And for these 30 years, they have decided to invest 10 million Kenya shillings to put up a structure.
Yeah.
It's actually very expensive to now waste a structure of 10 million Kenya shillings after 5 years.
Yeah.
And so there's a legitimate expectation that in case the landlord decides to terminate this, they need to pay you those damages that you're going to have incurred, because you already calculated and said tutajenga kanisa ya mbao, and within 20 years these mbaos will not be used afresh.
Yeah.
And so that's why you did not put up a permanent structure. So it helps very much to actually have a lease in writing and a lease that is actually registered.
Thank you very much now. Wow, I thought we had time, but now time is something else. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been our first part. Let's take a short commercial break, and we'll be back with the law and you.
Do you want to be a master of your money saving skills, or are you looking for a financial partner for your loan needs? Well, Ukombozi Sacco is your go-to financial partner for your growth and development. Register with us today and enjoy our saving products such as deposit account, where you make monthly, weekly or daily contributions, Jenga Junior, travel account and Christmas account. Get affordable instant mobile loans via the USSD *346# and other loan products like biashara loans, development, emergency, school fees loans, insurance and premium loans. Visit us in any of our offices countrywide. For more information, contact us on 0719 312 307 or 0716 130 884. Follow us on our social media handles. Ukombozi Sacco, together for a brighter future.
Good evening and welcome back to your favorite show, The Law and You. Wakili, when we were leaving, there's a question from someone that you had asked. These are the questions. I think let me read it for you. I have bought 10 acres. How do I go about subdividing the land? So I've bought the 10 acres, iko kwa jina yangu. So what are the next steps that are needed for me to be able to subdivide the land maybe into, I just say if it's 2 portions, which is 5, 9, 1, or 10 options, or 40 by 80s, or 50 by 100s, or quarters.
Maybe he's an investor and he wants to subdivide and sell them
Maguta.
Yeah, for some profit. But the process of subdivision will require you to get a surveyor to come and actually do actual subdivision.
On the ground.
On the ground, a mark, put beacons.
On what you want. Do you want to do the 10 acres into acres, 1-1? Do you want to do it into 5 acres, 5 acres, or 2 acres, tano? Or do you want to do it into plots? So I think the thing first is, how do you want to subdivide it?
Yes.
Then after that, get a surveyor to put for you the how on the ground. Kwa sababu, unaweza kuwa unasema niko na 10 acres, nataka 200 plots. And the 10 acres will give you maybe an average of 70 something, because lazima utoe barabara. So I think the surveyor atakuja kushikanisha what is in your dream na kwa ground.
But honestly, 10 acres, I think you will get around 7/8.
7/8 there.
So you're going to put some road on
because
it.
of roads and everything. So
Yes.
it's an average of like 70, 50 by hundreds.
Yes.
Zimejaa. Like you just squeeze in Nairobi watachapa 75 by 50. So inaweza kupatia paka 100. You can I went somewhere, someone is doing 60 by 30. I think surely. But okay, that's a discussion for another day. And I think with the new lands ministry, I think I need to put a proposal. It's wrong.
It is very
because
wrong.
how will you even put sewage for these people?
Yes.
Lighting. And then because that's how we create slums. And I'm very sorry for makosa imefanyika, but moving forward, I think as a country we need to think very much, because I was somewhere in some country and the least you can get is half acres and quarters. Because at least hapo kuna ka space ya kabarabara, sewage line ipite. And before subdivision, for example, if we are going to Kamulu, the government does roads, sewage and lighting. Sasa mnakuja kusubdivide. You don't go fast. Lakini Kenya inakuanga tunaenda kwanza. Mtu mmoja anajenga kanyumba pale unasikia uyaogopi, anakuanga na Masai. So then people come. So yes, so get a surveyor.
Get a surveyor, then they will come and do the measurements. By the way, there are two types of machines that the surveyor uses. There's a digital one and there's a manual one. And interesting enough, you'll find out that if they use the digital one, they will get different results
from the manual.
From the manual one.
The reason I'm laughing is because you need to get in hours wakipangia shamba. So, I'm unajua kama wakili huwezi sema iwezekani. So you keep that, you're like, oh yeah. Surely. Anyway, yeah, so
so you'll come with your machine.
Yeah.
And either if it's manual, they'll do the measurements, and they'll get you the corners and the beacons. Then they have to reduce this on paper.
On paper, yes.
So atachora, there will be a drawing that they will draw, which we call a deed plan. And now a mutation. Yeah. So this mutation will now need to be registered at the survey center, lands.
And maybe that's what I wanted to tell you. The reason I was saying about the way 10 acres is 200 plots is because when you take this mutation form, it has to be approved because of the scale in that area. So utapeleka uambiwe hapana, hizi umefinya sana.
When you're taken back, you're told to go back. Don't go lose pesa.
So please, let's do 50 by 100s and quarters.
So you take this, you take the form to the survey office at the land registry.
Then the mutation is approved.
The mutation will be approved. And then they have to amend the original.
The original plan of the area. Na bado lazima ujue utaenda kwa nini kwa ile land board special kwanza wachukuanga special ili approve hiyo subdivision
has to be approved.
Then now from there you can get your new fresh.
No, before you get your new fresh
titles
they have to change I'm forgetting the
scale.
RMI. They have to change that map. Which is actually, I don't know if our viewers know this, but Kenya is divided into small plots. Which are reduced into huge maps that you actually find at the land registry. And so that will have to be amended, and then a new title, our numbers will be issued, and then a new title will be given to you.
And then utambua ready titles.
Safi, very clean titles. Yes.
So someone else asked now, at least the person who has subdivided, please do not subdivide, but someone else has asked, how do I know the title deed I get is legit? I think that we answered that.
No, we have not answered.
We have not answered that one. So, yes. How do you know a title deed is legit? Yes, and then after that we'll do 2 questions. Okay, as you answer this one, ask someone else has said, I have bought a piece of land fully paid for, but I don't have a title deed after 10 years. Is the piece of land legally mine? So answer that as you answer. How do you know a legit title deed?
You know how you have a legit title deed if you perform a land search.
Land search.
A land search. And conducting a land search, we said at the beginning of, I think it was 2 weeks ago, one of the episodes, that the search result is a guarantee by the registrar of lands.
Yes.
He's guaranteeing to you by saying, I have gone through our records at lands registry. I have looked through the green card. I have confirmed that this land, this copy of the title, because we said one of the things you need to apply for a search is a copy of the title deed. And so they are going to confirm that they actually have a similar title in that name and in that number, and then they are going to confirm to you. So that search result that you receive from stamped, iko na muhuri na signature and the registrar's number, that is a proof that whatever land that you have or the title you have is actually legit. The other question
is, I've stayed for 10 years without a land, without a title. Is it the land mine?
I am curious. I don't know. You have said without. So what documents do you have? Did you go through the process?
Yes, in fact, that's the question I was saying, because there are places whereby they are not title deeds yet. The government is not yet. Maybe there are allotments. Maybe you have gone through a company. Have you been given a share certificate, but bado title ijatoka? So that's the thing. But if there was a title when you are buying and you still don't have a title 10 years down the line, that land is not yours. If there's a share certificate for that land and you still don't have the share certificate 10 years down the line, that's not yours. That's another thing I was talking about. In Kenya, we started the country the wrong way. The wrong way, why? Ideally, in developed countries, you don't go to a land without a title, the government to come give you title. The government starts with issuing titles first for that place, so that everywhere there are people, there should be title deeds. But because sababu ya mkoloni and everything, wakoloni wako wanapatia Waafrika mashamba, wako wanapatia Waafrika title deeds. They were used to put them in those villages. So I think that's where the problem came. So I think people got used to staying in land without ownership. Because shamba zote nyesi zilikuwa zetu either way. So I think that's the thing. The person is asking 10 years down the line. That's, I think, we need more information to be able to answer you. But if there was a title and you don't have it, it is not your land.
Yeah.
Maybe another question now, this is on the issue of succession. There are two questions that are merging. Succession, when it comes to land, how does land ownership from one person move from one person to the other, especially where there was no will? So if there's no will, how do I get land on myself? Number two, I bought land, but the owner died before issuing the title deed. And now the family is unwilling to give the title. So I think those are succession matters. We were supposed to do something on succession, which we'll still do at some point, because succession is wide. And we had a very nice guest who is supposed to come. I would like her to take us through. Unajua naweza ona kama hakuna wasichana ambao ni mawakili. It's a lady, a very bright lady. She deals majorly on succession. And that's, I would like her to come and deal on that. So the issue, the question is, how does land come? And if someone does not, I bought land, the owner passed and the family has refused to give me land. Wakili, what do I do?
If you bought, if actually you have a succession, let's say a matriarchy or patriarchy has passed on, the father or mother has died, and you have a children and you need to get the titles in your name, you need to go through the succession process, intestate.
Yeah.
Which is you go to court, you file, appoint an administrator who is supposed to represent the estate, and then you as a beneficiaries will have to agree on the distribution of the properties.
Maybe I'll cut you short because we'll go to the details.
Yes.
I think for them to understand is, if the person is not there and you want this title, vile wanasemanga enda ushtaki kifo. Ukishtaki kifo utapatiwa barua.
Yes.
Ukipatiwa barua utatumia hizo barua sasa kwenda lands na eventually it will come to yourself. I think what we need to ask here, and which is very key to the topic about buying and selling land, is I bought land from someone, he has passed on. His family, his children, his wife, his husband has refused to transfer this land. Have I lost my money?
No, you've not lost your money.
Yeah.
And if you have a sale agreement that you have actually signed, then you have a claim against the estate of the deceased person.
I think repeat that one and underline in capital letters. If you have a sale agreement. Watu wale unapatananga hivi unapatiana pesa kwa meza. Huyo mtu akikufa familia iseme ikujui.
Kwisha.
Unaambiwa ndo umtafute. But at least kama alikuwa mesign unaweza kuja na ufanye. There's something you have said you have a claim. So what do you do? Because now remember they are not in good faith. They have refused. But at least you have a sale agreement with the wakili and everything. So what do you do?
So you need to actually go after the estate. So you need to find out whether they have wameshtaki kifo, and then file a case against the representative of that estate.
Of that estate. As one of the objectors, and then you object to that distribution. Uingishwe ndani sasa.
Uingishwe ndani ukatae wapewe hiyo shamba.
Na sasa ile wanagawa watasema title number this and this and this itakuwa yao.
Yes.
Wakili, my time is up, but I want to ask you one last question. Caveats. Someone has asked on the issue of caveats. How do I put caveats? Nasikianga nimeweka caveat leo, nimeenda nakuta haiko. What are the type of caveats and how do I put the caveats?
Number one, you need to show that you have an interest in the piece of land.
Yes.
Either you are a purchaser or you are a family member who is afraid that the land may go maybe to a second wife, or may be sold off by your husband or your wife. And so once you're able to do that, there are application forms that you need to fill and swear affidavits, present these documents to the land registrar, and this will be registered, the caveat will be registered against that land. So wataeka muhuri on the title to say that there's a caveat to stop
that. And I think one thing people need to learn is also that when you register those forms, ensure you follow up with the lands office, muitwe mkutano, because the lands, ideally, according to the law, within 30 or 60 days, the land registrar needs to call you and ask wewe uliweka caveat kwa nini? Mwenye shamba mbona ameweka caveat? If it does not make sense, he throws it out. If it makes sense, you register it and it will be part of the caveat. Na mtu akifanya search anaona so and so aliweka caveat. That is one. The second caveat is which one? Can I put a caveat when my name is there? For example, husband and wife, can the wife put a caveat?
Yes, they can put a caveat. So one of them is they could go to court. You may have to go to court, and maybe you are stopping a certain sale.
Yeah, a certain
maybe
sale.
As a wife, you're stopping a sale by your husband, and so you go to court, get a court order, and what will be registered will be an inhibition. An inhibition. So it will have the details of the case numbers, and the court has to say that this land should not be sold. So this is what will be put there. And if you need to remove it, you have to go back to court. To court
to remove it. And that's the reason we said, for you to start buying land does not mean it's a complete process. That's the reason why you should have an exit clause. In case utaniuzie shamba, what will happen to me? So because you can see a situation whereby the husband or the wife or even the children can have an interest, or even me. Nimekuwekea 10%, ukienda kutafuta completion document umekutana mtu mwingine pale unamuuzia shamba. I can rush to court and be like, no, can I do this? Or even restriction whereby, sorry, the land is owned by other directors and you know the directors want to do something, you can put a restriction on that. Ladies and gentlemen, our time is up, but we thank God for the time that you have been with us. Thank you very much. It has been the law and you. I'm your host, Kenneth Mbaabu, and my guest, Eliud Ngugi. May God bless you so much, and see you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. on One Accord TV, One Accord Facebook, One Accord TV on YouTube. God bless you, and good night.